Prepare yourselves
for an entertaining
and somewhat informative
our MMA Talk Radio, brought to you by the Man of Steel,
Joe Show.
Tembo Slice.
What's up, guys?
Not
What's going on, man?
I've been busy, man. Just all over the place, kind of getting back in the swing of things, and just working.
I've been seeing you've been doing a lot of training, training people and training yourself. By watching your Facebook and Instagram. So that looks like you're moving around pretty good. Looks like that arm's working real well.
Yeah, it's working great for me. So it's better than it's been in 8 years, and I'm just waiting on the call. So hopefully real soon I'll have some news for you, and we'll get another fight going.
I know everyone keeps asking us about it.
Yeah.
When you get back in there?
Who's everyone?
I know you're anxious to, and it's not necessarily up to you. I mean, they gotta put the match together.
Yeah, I just got cleared. So at this point, just it's about finding an opponent, and they're having fights almost every week, keeping us busy, and they're signing new guys left and right. So it could be a newcomer or it could be a big name. You saw Ryan Benoit got a co-main event fight, so you never know. If I fight a big name, we could be looking at something pretty big. Alonzo just had that co-main event fight. Didn't go his way, but he's in good spirits, and those type of big opportunities could come up on short notice.
Yeah,
that was a big opportunity for Alonzo Minifield. In my opinion, it was too big, too fast for me. Being a fan of Alonzo, but I do understand that you got to take big chances. And it was a big chance to fight such a highly ranked, large 6'3", 6'4" OSP. And, Alonzo rose to the occasion, made one little mistake and, paid for it. But that was a big jump up in competition for Alonzo. And, if it would have been the other way around, it's like you said, that puts you on the map.
Yeah, that would have put him on the map. And that's all it takes is one mistake at that level. And you saw OSP was basically, staying long and trying to stay back, avoid the big shot. He's getting Alonzo was doing really good, in my opinion. I thought he was doing what he needed to do, just rush forward a little bit too eagerly and left himself open for that.
Yeah, shot. he got extended real heavy on his lead leg, extended out, and OSP is really good at that check hook. Yeah. And that's how he knocked out, St. Peru is knocked out Shogun Hua. I mean, he's knocked out the who's who in that division. Do you think, is Alonzo going to stay at 205, or does he drop down? Because he's not a giant 205er. He's a big boy. I mean, he's a big dude, but he's only 6 foot tall. Those 205ers these days are walking around at 250, 255. What do you think OSP is out of competition? 270?
Like 235.
I bet he's bigger than that, man.
Big. They don't get that big. That's big heavyweight.
OSP could go to heavyweight, though. He just don't cut weight. I bet he shows up at 240.
Yeah, he probably walks around about 230, 235.
Yeah, big dude. But it's glad to hear that Alonzo's got his spirits high, and like to see him fight again. He won't make that mistake again.
No, and you got to look at it. He's still young in his career. What is he, 9-2 now? And he's fighting at a high level. He's doing well for himself, and he just signed a new contract, so
good.
Very good. Fights in the UFC, and he's just getting started.
Because wasn't that his fourth fight in the UFC?
I believe so. He's 2-2 at this point.
Lost the decision to the last guy, and then lost to OSP last weekend. Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he'll get there, man. Keep grinding, keep getting better. Another year down the line, go after OSP and get that win back.
Yeah, you never know. You never know, especially in the light heavyweight division. It's you know, you can get right back in the mix with one big knockout.
Uh-huh.
And like you said, at that level of competition, it only takes that one little mistake or one good shot by somebody to take you down. So within that whole division there, the light heavyweights, it could change in an instant with whoever they're pitting up against each other. They come in with that one punch knockout, and everything's changing up, and opportunities are going to open back up for them.
Exactly.
All right. Who else did you like on that card?
Man, Alistair Overeem, really impressive the way he weathered the storm. I could really tell he was definitely pacing himself. It looked like he was shelling up against the cage, but he was, trying to let dude punch himself out basically and not take a lot of damage. And you saw he turned it up in the third. He started changing it up, took it down to the ground, changed the dynamic of that fight, and took over from that point. And it was just a matter of time.
It reminded me of the old Ali days of rope-a-dope. I mean, he was just against the side, and when you look at the total punch count, you think, well, but he threw. He was Saki was that? How do you pronounce his name again? Sakai. He was throwing so many punches in the first couple of rounds. He was basically wearing himself out, and that's all Overeem was doing, is just wait, and then he took charge.
Yeah, you got to realize it's a 5-round fight. If you're not able to finish the guy, then you're gonna have to hang in there for the rest of the time. If you throw caution to the wind in the first 2 rounds and you're gassed out by the 3rd round, then what are you gonna do after that?
Overeem looked the most rounded I've seen him look. His stand-up, his stand-up is always spectacular. He's a K1 kickboxing champion. But when he mixed it up in the end and got the takedown, he looked good, man. 40-year-old fighter, 41, fighting the new, up-and-coming big dudes. He did real well. Yeah, it was a good performance by him. It's like we said, sometimes he'll lose a couple, and then he'll win a couple. He'll lose another one, and then he'll win 2 more. So I'd like to see him get that title shot. It'd be pretty cool.
More time for him. He's 40 or 41, and he's aging. You can see it on his body. He's deteriorating over the time, and he's not going to be able to keep going much longer. So this is kind of his last title run, and I don't think if he doesn't get the title, I think he's going to retire. Maybe even if he loses, coming up. I think he was definitely considering retiring based off how that fight went Saturday night.
Yeah, and he pulled it. He did really well. So he said he was probably going to maybe wait until the end of the year or probably early next year before he fights again to see who's coming up. He was talking about a fight that's coming up to see how that played out and who he'd be fighting.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Who else was on that card that was good?
Michael Piera.
Uh-huh.
Piera.
That dude that does all the backflips and shit.
Oh, dude, he looked good, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He looked, especially in that first round, he looked like really technical. Like he was doing everything he needed to do. And then after that, he started getting a little wild, but that's his style.
You're right. That's his style. That's the way he feels comfortable getting in the cage and doing that. And he was, to me, that fight was entertaining because after their weigh-in when he got slapped, I mean, you saw him. He was sitting there with open hands, like, okay, this one's coming out, and slapped him across the head a few times.
Dude, he laid the pimp hand across that guy's head, dude. And that shit hurts. A big open hand slap like that with those gloves, that hurt. And it's embarrassing. He looked sharp. His stand-up was great. His kickboxing is great. He had some good transitions on the ground. He did a little bit of flashy stuff, not overdone. That his manager and his team said, look, man, you got a chance to make a title run at that fighter that Pieta that we saw Saturday night, man, that was a title contender. He looked amazing. And
Yes, he looked very good. He looked like he could move up and just start taking on the top 10 in there.
Dude, what's the weight class? 170?
Yes, 170.
He looks gigantic. He looked like he was 205 pounds.
Like you said, it'd be interesting to, and I thought there's limits on how much weight they're supposed to put back on, or they're allowed to put back on. But yeah, he looked big. Like he put everything he took off was probably all that water weight, put it all back on, and was ready to go.
Yeah, it looked like a totally different weight class that he was competing at. So that was a good fight.
Yeah, I enjoyed that one. That one was very entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it was a good one. He looked good and technical. I like it when he slows down and is not, doing too much goofy stuff, trying to flip around and do all the jumps. It's just too much energy, and you're risking getting injured when you do stuff like that. So he looked good, man. I bet we see him again by the end of the year.
I would think so. I would think they're going to want to get him back in there. And I think he might have been close to the end of his contract as well. So that was I thought I heard him say something about need to put on a good performance to get a new and better contract.
Who'd he call out? Didn't he call somebody out at the end of the fight?
He did. He called out. Didn't he call out Masvidal?
Oh yeah, the BMF belt.
Yes, he wanted a piece of the BMF belt.
Dude, oh man, how does that fight? In the Masvidal versus how do you say his name? Pieta. Dude, you think he can be? You think he?
Entertaining coming into the whole fight, leading up to it. I mean, they would be trash talking each other, building that thing up. Once they get in there, it would be a very entertaining fight, I think.
Who do you think wins that?
It's a good question. At this point, I think it's kind of a toss-up right now.
So Stephen, we're talking about the Pieta fight, and he called out Jorge Masvidal for the BMF belt at the end of the fight. Man, how does that fight play out? And who do you think's who would win that fight? The Pieta I saw Saturday night beats Masvidal.
I think a polished Pieta could beat just about anybody. He's a freak athlete. He's huge for that weight class. I mean,
huge.
I don't know how he makes that weight. It's ridiculous. And then, if he's able to use his attributes and fight like he fought in that first round, and then set up the dynamic stuff that he throws, I think he's a top level fighter.
And definitely bigger than Masvidal, size wise, because Pieta looked like a 205er that night, dude. I mean, that guy is massive, and he's not short. He's over 6 foot tall. Yeah, he looked like a world champion contender that night. And I would like to see that BMF. Oh man, that's an exciting fight to think about.
You see the way he was slapping the shit out of him?
He was slapping the shit out of him. Wow, bop, dude, his hands look huge.
There was a time where he smacked the shit out of him. If he would have pushed him, he probably would have knocked him out with that shot. It was freaking ridiculous.
If he would have put a little bit of palm into that, bop, right on the jaw. Holy smokes!
He had to have been humiliated. And then the submission at the end, I know he didn't tap; he was clawing, but
right.
It sucks because he could have gone the distance and either got a decision loss, but he has a submission loss, even though he didn't submit, which is kind of
right.
But
so you don't think you don't think he was reaching into the tap?
Definitely not.
I don't think so either.
No.
So then, what was he doing with his palm open on the wrist around his neck?
He was clawing, trying to find the hand.
From the picture I saw, he wasn't clawing on it. His hand was open.
I watched it like 10 times. I was like, and then just from I've been there many a times. I would rather fight, especially with 20 seconds left. He might have been able to hang in there, or peel the hand, or even going unconscious. I'd rather go unconscious than tap out or have the fight stopped prematurely.
Yeah,
that one was a little controversial there, but then you look at the rest of the fight. Even DC said he goes, yeah, maybe he wasn't tapping, but he definitely had lost the fight.
Yeah,
he got his ass kicked all 3 rounds.
yeah, 10-8.
Oh yeah, it was a beating. Yeah, it wouldn't have mattered tap or not. He wasn't getting out of that position. It doesn't matter.
10-6. Somebody like I was reading 10-6 on all 3 rounds.
10-6.
Yeah,
Dang.
that score.
They really give out 10-8s.
Maybe that helped him because who knows what that score would have read. Like that would have been just as embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
What's the most lopsided score there's ever been?
That's a good question. You should be looking that up.
Yeah, informative bimbo.
I'll let you know for next week. Give me some homework.
Hey, Steven, did you watch Mike Tyson on Joe Rogan a couple of days ago?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he's back on. He's back on like 6 days ago. So I went back. I watched it last night on YouTube, and Mike is getting scary again, dude. He looks so ripped up and lean, and from what it sounds like, he's getting the stem cells injections. He's probably on growth hormone, testosterone. He didn't say what he was on, but he was talking about, yeah, they got me on a lot of stuff, but he wouldn't name it. And Joe Rogan was trying to fish it out of him, but man, Mike was aggressive on that show the other night, man. I was like, shit, man, he was fucking scary.
So it's a exhibition fight. So
take what he wants
by the same rules, but in their contract they could have a stipulation where either they're allowed to take certain things, or they're being tested, or there's no testing. So they could very well be having no testing because both these guys are past their prime. They're probably on some sort of testosterone replacement therapy.
Yep.
I talk to most men in their 30s, and they're on some sort of testosterone replacement, and they're like, right, like a kid again.
Yeah. I've been on. I started it when I was 38, and now I'm 46, and I feel great, man. I feel great.
Yeah, see, it's something that I can't do as a competitor. So, but it's something I'm too young to even dabble in. But these guys in their 40s, 50s. It makes sense that they might be on something, so they probably have some sort of stipulation where they're upfront about that.
I think are they being tested at all? You think?
That's interesting. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
It's exhibition, so it doesn't matter what they're on, but
yeah, shoot, they could be on whatever they want. As far as I know, if there's no testing, then there's no telling what they're on. Look at the BJJ community.
Yeah. Oh, those guys are jacked.
Yeah. I mean, most of them are on some shit like the high level competitor. There's no testing.
So Mike Tyson, the way he was talking, it sounded like he was like taking peptides, growth hormone, stem cell injection, testosterone. He wasn't saying it, but when you're seeing those specialists, I know what those specialists are going to give you. They're going to give you growth hormone. They're going to give you some type of peptides. They're going to give you testosterone. They're going to give you estrogen blockers, because he probably went in and got his blood work and said, I bet he had low testosterone. His estrogen was probably upside down. So they probably put him on all that stuff. But what he said, because Joe Rogan was like, when did all this come about? When, the fighting and when we were offered to fight, the first guy that he was offered was Bob Sapp from K1. And if you know Bob Sapp, he was almost 400 pounds when he fought in K1 kickboxing and Pride or whatever Bob Sapp was in.
Yeah, that's just a super heavyweight. That's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then they also Shannon the Cannon Briggs was another guy that they had offered him, and so they just kind of went down the line through fighters who would want to fight Mike Tyson, and it finally landed on a super fight, in my opinion. Roy Jones Jr., which is one of the baddest motherfuckers who ever threw hands in boxing. Roy Jones Jr. was so badass, but he better get on some juice because Mike was looking fucking scary.
So it took a number of phone calls to find someone that would go up against him.
I guess. I don't know. That's what it sounded like. It sounded like a list of like 10 different guys. He said they'd even mentioned a few UFC fighters. He didn't name them, but there was a list of fighters that, Evander Holyfield and all those guys. So he's talking about starting a show of like retired athletes, having like John McEnroe play tennis against Serena Williams, kind of like super, just like super fight matchups, but in different sports as well. I thought that was pretty cool.
Bring back the old Battle of the Network Stars.
Yeah, something like that. But yeah, he looked amazing. Yeah, go back, y'all check out that show. It was good. But anyways, back to MMA news.
What's going on with Extreme Knockout?
So I ran into Thomas Bussey a couple of weekends ago, and they're just trying to, they're riding it out, waiting for the coronavirus, the stipulations to, to end so they can actually sell tickets, because, they have small events and they're not getting pay-per-view buys like the UFC. So that's what they're waiting on. They're kind of frozen right now. They're trying to get something going, but
Is that them or the TDLR? Because according to the TDLR website, their combative sports are paused in Texas at the moment.
Yeah, so, and that's what it made it. This conversation was 2 or 3 weeks ago. So that's what he was. The TDLR was probably, put a kibosh on all that stuff. But I mean, he was. They have their XKO television, and you can go back and watch a lot of the previous XKO fights. Subscribe to their page, stuff like that. But man, they were chomping at the bit to get some fights going, and I'm chomping at the bit to go see some fights.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's about time to get some live fights going again, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon.
At least not in the state of Texas.
Yeah, we should do like some outdoor fights or something, something different to make it work. Yeah, I'm sick of the crowdless fights. It's getting unnerving.
Well, in the opening NFL game last night, Kansas City Chiefs and Houston Texans, man, they had about 20,000 fans in the stands.
Did they?
Yeah, they had about 20,000. They said it was 18 to 20,000 people in the stands, and it sounded like maybe they had the stands a little microphoned to kind of amplify the sound, so it was a little bit louder, because it sounded like 100,000 people.
That is one of the loudest stadiums next to the Superdome, and they kept saying they are not enhancing, they are not piping anything. All that noise you heard was from those 18 to 20,000 fans.
They were just to the live event.
Exactly, they're fired up.
You should see the bars and shit. Everybody's just like all fucking gung ho. Everybody's happy to be training. Everybody's because you take these things for granted, and then when they're taken away from you, and then you get them back, then you actually appreciate it a lot more.
Yes, they were very excited. I mean, from the fans to everybody on the field, they were very excited to be out there and put on. Good to see that. College football coming back this weekend as well. So you keep looking at going, okay, people are going to be positive. That's just part of it. So you just got to push through it and move forward. Keep putting the events out there.
I'm ready. The Dallas Cowboys will be playing this weekend, season opener. I'm excited to see what the crew's going to do with CeeDee Lamb on board. I'm a big fan of that guy. Dak, Zeke, all the guys. So I'm ready to watch some Dallas Cowboys football for sure.
Fuck football. Let's talk about fucking.
I was waiting for that. How long till these times going to go football?
Football.
So how about this fight coming up with the Karate Hottie and Angela Hill?
Angela Hill is probably more technical and got better technique and more rounded than the Karate Hottie. As much as I would like to see Michelle Watterson win that fight because I'm a fan, I think Angela Hill is more rounded and better.
Yeah, I think she's going to take over in the clinch. I think the way to beat Angela Hill would be to take her down, but I don't know if she has that in her skill set. She's probably going to try and keep it at distance and strike from the outside, but Angela's chime. She's going to get inside and land elbows and knees and make it a dirty fight.
Yeah, I think Michelle will run out of techniques before Angela Hill will. Angela Hill just will have a deeper repertoire of striking skills and grappling. I think she wins this fight all the way around. Even though I'm pulling for the karate hottie, and you never know. Michelle Watterson's got some power. She's got some good kicks, but
well, I don't think she has power to knock anybody out or anything. She might. And I think if she can keep it on her feet, she can come out with a decision victory. But I don't know if she's going to be able to keep it on her feet.
I think Angela wins it on the feet too. She's just a better boxer. What do you think, Steven?
Yeah, mostly in the inside clinch range. Karate Hottie's more of an outside fighter. She's going to try and stick and move. And Angela's going to, I mean, especially in that small cage, she's going to cut her off and clinch her up against the cage.
Yeah, I think Angela Hill wins by decision.
I think we probably all agree that's going to go to a decision. I don't see either one of them finishing each other.
Angela Hill is going to finish her in the beginning of the third round.
In the beginning of the third. All right.
Hill in the third.
I'm still pulling for Watterson, but
unless Timbo, are you writing down?
You got to put that down so I can remember it.
Yeah, that's smart. then you can come back and just prove how right I am every time.
I might put some money on it for you.
Yeah. There's a couple other fights coming up this weekend too. I know Matt Chanel's on the card. We got Coach Safe out there cornering him. He's been doing his camp with us. Danger.
Who did you say?
Matt Chanel. You remember the MTV show Caged?
Yeah.
Yeah, we used to watch that show, me and my ex-wife, and we'd laugh at that dude. now he's made it. I mean, it was corny. The show was corny as hell. I talked to him. He said he was big shit for that show, but he was young. And we were all young, and we stuck at it and stayed in the sport for as long as we had. Now we're both on that level. He's really well for it.
Well, that's good. So you try and motivate him tell him how you used to laugh at him when he was on the show?
Yeah. I talk about how cheesy that show was. I got to use different words. He's corny and stuff like that,
Right.
Filter my.
But he made it. But he made it to the big times and made it to the big show. So congratulations. Let's see how he does.
Yeah, no, he's been in the big a little bit. He's got a few submissions in the UFC, and he's doing really well. So he has a big fight tomorrow.
He's going up against Tyson Nam.
Yeah.
And was Tyson Nam the guy that came off the Ultimate Fighter series?
I believe so.
I think so too. Man, it looks like a pretty fun card. Brian Barberina, Brock Weaver. I mean, there's some pretty good names on there.
Stand up contender.
Yeah.
And he's a character, pretty impressive.
Who'd you say?
Brock Weaver.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a character. Let's see how he does.
His first or second UFC?
This could be his third.
Maybe.
Remember the first one was like an eye poke or something that happened.
Right.
And the second one, he just got beat up and he got submitted. And this could be his third or fourth fight already, man. And he hadn't looked too hot. He hadn't looked too hot in the UFC yet. I'm waiting for a breakout moment from that dude because, of course, you're a fan of his whole story and just a neat character. I'd like to see him have some victory, but he's got some things to work on.
Yeah.
He has something. Yeah, probably does have something to work on. So yeah, he lost his last one by rear naked. The fight before that, he won, but that was because of an illegal knee.
Oh, he was downed. It was a downed opponent. He got kneed in the head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't remember how he was doing in that one. That was called at the end of round one. So. And
then before that was the Contender Series.
Yes.
So this will be his third fight.
Yeah, so it'd be good to see him get out there and see what he can we can show. I know he had some opponents drop out, so that seems like that's par for the course nowadays. That you can't really train for any one particular person. You just got to be ready to fight and go out there and do your thing.
You got to be ready to take a fight on a week's notice, a couple days' notice. Everything's crazy right now with the Rona tests, and people are coming up positive left and right. Fights are dropping off cards. So yeah, you definitely got to be for everything.
Yeah, because last week they come down to just 7 fights in the card because people had dropped off. But but the thing is, you're going to have that, and you got to move forward with it. You got to expect that. You can't be disappointed that and it was disappointing if your opponent and you're made weight and you're ready to go. But as a fight fan and as the UFC is doing this, they're doing the best they can and testing these guys to make sure they're staying healthy and they're not spreading anything. I mean, from some of those fights are just cornermen that are getting tested positive, so the fighter has to get kicked out because he's with the cornerman that's positive. But you got to expect that, move forward, and think, all right, we're going to see some fights. Some guys they're going to drop fights, but that's just part of it.
Yeah, it's just part of the gig now, and they were saying there's some NFL guys that are testing positive that are asymptomatic, and they're still letting them play. So, at least the UFC is doing their due diligence. If a guy tests positive, they're not letting him fight because that can not only affect him and his opponent, but it could affect the referee, the cornerman, the stateside officials, everybody involved. Because we got that sweat flying everywhere. So yeah, they're making sure that it stops. It stops there, and then if somebody comes out, they're quarantined. Asymptomatic or not.
The NFL is making everybody there, the players and staff, wear these watches that are proximity watches. So whoever tests positive for corona after the games, they check their watches and see who they were standing next to.
See if they were it measures if they were within 6 feet of somebody and how long they were within 6 feet of somebody.
Yes,
it tracks their every movement, just like your cell phone does.
What? But so man, I'm looking at this card and we got Bobby Green fighting Alan Patrick. Yeah. I don't know who Alan Patrick is.
Every time Bobby Green, he's fun to watch.
Bobby Green's fun to watch.
Yeah.
That's hands down, likes to scrap.
Dude, talk shit while he's in there. It's fun to watch.
Yeah, he's bad. So
Julia, the Raging Panda, Alva is fighting Eubanks. And those were fights that they were supposed to have other opponents a couple of weeks ago. They pitted them up against each other. So that's Julia's been around the XKO events a time or two in LFA. Makes a trip down from Oklahoma. So like to see her come out there and smash. Like in her last fight, she took out her opponent in the first round. So see if she can. I'm going to do the same with Eubanks, but.
Talk about KGB?
No, Julia Alva.
Well, KGB's on that card too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's
against Roxanne Monaferry, and everybody knows Roxanne is a grappler. She's gonna try and take it down to the ground, submit her, and KGB. So it'll be really interesting to see who's a classic striker versus. I think they should have one of those every card.
Yeah, Roxanne Monaferry is an OG in women's MMA. She's been around a long time. She's very skilled. And I was watching her last fight, and she'd been, her stand-up looked decent. She did good in her boxing in her last fight. And so I was watching the hype show, and they were interviewing Roxanne Monaferry, and they were trying to get her to talk bad about Andrea Lee, and it was just fucking hilarious because she wouldn't cuss. She said Andrea Lee's mom's a hamster, and that was like the worst thing she said.
But she's a happy warrior. You know, they fought before. It sounds like they have a good relationship. They're not out to talk shit about each other. There's no way that Roxy can get out there and talk shit because she's just
she doesn't do that.
She doesn't want to kill a fly or smash a mosquito. She's in love with every little thing. So but she's just very positive with everything, which is good to see somebody that's. But the times, and I don't really think it deters or brings down her fight game at all because she's been, like you said, she's been in the game for a long time. She knows what needs to be done when she gets out there. She doesn't need to come out with so much rage and anger.
Right. She doesn't have to be mad. She doesn't have to hate her opponent to fight.
Yeah.
She's strictly there. She's competition. She likes to win. So that's an interesting fight. And I know KGB's been training hard. Watching her, her pre-fight, these last few weeks, her getting ready for the fight on her Instagram and Facebook, man, she's been going hard. So it's going to be a fun fight. Let's see how that plays out.
That one's going to be fun to watch. I believe KGB is going to take it by decision.
That's what I think too.
I think you're right there. That's a good call.
Yay! Finally got one right. We'll see.
Ding 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 ding. We need little bell.
You mean I finally made the same pick as you?
Yeah.
I'm learning. I'm trying to learn from you.
You can very well take her down in the first and just make her look terrible. But I'm a fan of KGB, and I think she'll get it done. I think she'll stick and move. But, she's been exposed there before, so I'm sure she's working after sprawling and wrestling, and if she's been doing that, she can do pretty well.
Yeah, she's going to have to stay on her feet for sure. You don't want to get on the ground with Modafferi. She's very good, very talented grappler. So I'm sure she's ready.
Yeah, and her wrestling's not that great. So
Word. So I see Ed Herman's on that card. Man, I hadn't seen him in a while. He's an OG from The Ultimate Fighter way back when, fighting Mike Rodriguez.
Yeah, he goes back a ways.
Yeah, he goes back a ways. It's fun to watch him get beat up, or because he throws down, man. I mean, he'll either sometimes he wins, sometimes he loses. But it's dramatic. It's dramatic fashion every time.
Yeah, he dies good.
the death rattle.
Guys, based off how they go out, just some guys, if they want to highlight a guy, then they'll put him up against a dramatic guy. So when he gets throws himself.
Yeah. They want a guy who gets choked out and goes into the death rattle.
Hey man, that's normal when you get choked out. You sneeze a little bit.
That's real shit there, man. You can't rehearse that.
Yeah.
That's not it. There's no dramatics added. That's just your body taking over and doing.
Yeah, my worst fear would be pissing on myself in the middle of the octagon and being choked out.
Did you see that?
Way to go, Mr. Miyagi.
Caught him. Smashed him.
Need some chopsticks next time.
Cobra Kai. Hey, have you guys been watching Cobra Kai?
Yes.
I was sitting around watching it with my son the other night.
It's great.
It was on YouTube. Yeah. But yeah, it's great, and they got season 3 coming out eventually. But they're just waiting for the rest of them to catch up.
Yes, but I've been loving it.
Inside knowledge on season 3.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
You gonna make a special appearance on that show, on that episode, that season?
That'd be super dope. But
That'd be super dope.
I am working on a new acting gig coming up by the end of the year. So look forward to seeing that.
Yes, we will look forward to seeing your acting career.
Is that the one that I'm going to be? Is that the one I'm going to be into?
That's one of them.
Cool. So you're working on 2 of them then?
I'm working on 3.
3? Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. What if one of them falls apart?
Hey, man, I've been telling you that for a long time, man. Get your acting chops down, man, because you could be the next Avenger, bro. You never know.
Not with this ugly mug.
But they need ugly people on television too. You can't just all be pretty.
You need some ugly people to make the other people look good.
Yeah. Well, they just need to put you next to someone uglier than you and make you look handsome.
There we go.
Like Timbo. Like they could put you next to Timbo, man, you look like a fucking supermodel.
I'm gonna get cleaned up this week. Y'all see me all on here looking. I've been grimy, just getting through the beginning of the shit. When you get right back in the gym, you try to keep up with everybody else. So yeah, I'm getting to that point where I feel like I can hang with the volume and picking up the intensity at this point.
Yeah, man. What's that been like? You've been on. You stay in shape, but you're coming off that surgery. What is it like for you to get back to speed with these guys that have been grinding hard? The guys that have been in the gym and throwing down every day. How's that been? Has it been a struggle getting used to the dings and the dents again, or the speed, the footwork? What has it been?
Yeah, like the first day I came back and it was like, oh man, I haven't lost a thing. I felt great. I was right where I left off. The second day, more of the same. The striking was fine. And then once you start getting that grind going and the fatigue sets in, then you start slowing down, and that's the part of a camp that's not normal, is being able to hang with that volume for days and days and days, and then recover. And I get like 36 hours off after Saturday practice, so Monday morning. So that's it compounds and it adds up. So just the feeling of pain. I haven't felt pain in like 6 months, except for of course my rehab and shit.
Right.
This is a different kind of pain.
Different type of pain. It's the exhausting pain.
Yeah. So 2 or 3 days into it, you're all dinged up. Your feet are dinged, your shins, your hands are kind of sore. You're like, okay, now it's starting to add up.
Yeah, and then you got to get up and do it, and then that's the hard part is that grind. But I was made for this, and I've been here before many times, and it's just about sucking it up and getting back in there, and that's where I thrive. Is once I turn that switch, then that's basically the part about getting ugly. I stop caring about what I look like, and basically everything else, and just grind, and now I'm in the grind, and finally getting activated to where I can start picking up the intensity.
That's good. Yeah.
Good to hear, man. That's good to hear that you're back in there and pushing. It's like you said, you've been down this road. You know the path. It's you got to go up the hills and start climbing it.
Yeah, I've never been off this long, but it's the same old same. I've stayed in fairly good shape. I used to get really out of shape in between fights, and as I got older, I realized I wouldn't do that to myself anymore. So, I can take a fight on a couple weeks' notice and do just fine.
Well, that's good.
Yep.
So if the UFC called you today and said, "Hey, can you be ready in 6 weeks?" You're down.
Easy. Yeah.
All right. Well, that's good to hear. Well, good. Yeah, we're excited to see some fights. Oh man.
Man, I'm ready to get back in there, and I'm excited for some great fights tomorrow night. I know they're spoiling enough every week. Don't take it for granted. Tune in. There will be some good fights, especially the ones that are the pay-per-views. Those are the ones that you got to look forward to. People try to get the name for them. So tune in to ESPN Plus, and yeah, I'm out.
Yeah, we got some fights tonight. LFA. Haley Cowan's fighting. I believe her original opponent dropped out for whatever reason. They have her a new opponent, so she's on for tonight. Also, tonight on Bellator, making her Bellator debut, Kat Zingano. Alpha Cat's back.
Yep.
So, I want to see both of those fights. So I'm going to have to figure out how to watch LFA. I can watch, I don't have Fight Pass, but I can watch Bellator. So I'll most likely be doing that and figure out how to watch the LFA fight. Because, man, those are two fighters I want to see. Haley Cowan looks absolutely huge at 135. I think it's what she's fighting at, or I'm not sure, but she looks massive. She looks like Thor,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
And
So,
then Kat
where-
Zingano is making her Bellator debut. You know, she's had a really long layoff. She's always plagued with injuries, but I've always been a Kat Zingano fan. So I want to see how she's going to do in Bellator tonight.
And who's she up against, Joe?
Man, I don't know who it was.
On it. So typically, when somebody takes a fight on short notice, they're not going to be as prepared, and it's literally just somebody to fill in so that the athlete Haley Cohen can have her moment to shine. And sometimes they split the moment, but 9 times out of 10, the star shines that night. So I think
It's an opportunity for the person, like we said earlier, to step in on short notice. So do they? Yeah, they're the huge underdog stepping on short notice like that, but it's still an opportunity for them. Get out there and show what they can do against a quality opponent.
exactly.
Yeah, it'd be fun to watch. So there's something to watch every day. There's fights to watch tonight, fights to watch tomorrow night, and there's sports on Sunday. So it's going to be a good weekend to lay around and watch some fights and stuff like that.
There is a lot. Don't forget you got your Dallas Stars out there too, man.
I never watch hockey.
Everybody likes hockey out here. It's crazy.
I never watch it. Never watch it. I've been to a game. I didn't even watch it when I was there.
Joe, that's I'm surprised you don't. That's one sporting event where they get out there and said, all right, you're pissed at this guy for whatever reason. Let's drop the gloves and let's smack each other around for a little bit.
Yeah, they actually have to take a martial art. They train those guys on how to hold the jerseys and hook. They teach them clinch moves.
They don't want to get their ass kicked out there.
Yeah.
There are no takedowns though. Once it hits the ice, the ref stops it.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of short uppercuts. It's the fight in the clinch.
Dirty boxing. Yeah. Well,
yeah, all those guys are missing teeth.
So thanks for tuning in. This is Fight Fit Lifestyle Radio. I'm out.
Hey, don't forget today, 9/11. Never forget that one.
Never forget all the fallen heroes.
Everyone has put their life on the line since then as well.
That's
all right, man. Appreciate it.
USA.
All right, man. We'll see ya.
How do you turn this thing off? Mark Warner, you're fired.
Well,
so we're still going.
So we still got 10 minutes left of talking to do. We're still supposed to be on the air for 10 more minutes. He must have. Ocha had something to go do.
Yeah, I guess so. And Mark is probably eating a sandwich.
So we can just keep talking, Joe.
Yeah. So, how do you think? I'm thinking about the KGB fight versus, and I think Andrea KGB Lee should change her name. I don't think KGB goes anymore. I don't think Matt goes with. I think she should change it to like Andrea the American Lee, or I don't know.
And she did tell us when she was on the show with a couple of years ago, how she got that name. And I don't recall, but I remember her talking about it. But
well, she said just because I think there was a Russian trainer that said that she looked like she was Russian, so they're going to call her KGB. I was like, okay, and it just stuck, I guess. I don't know. I think it's time for a name update.
Is that very common? I mean, as a fighter has their name, Ed Herman, short fuse. He doesn't seem to be. He used to have
Alistair Overeem was the Ream, and he was the Demolition Man. The Nightmare was the Dream. Diego Sanchez changed from the Nightmare to the Dream, then he went back to the Nightmare. So I don't know. Something to think about.
They do change it up.
So I think she'll do good against that fight tomorrow night. I'm really interested to see how Kat Zingano is going to do tonight, and I'm not sure who she's fighting. And Bellator, so you can actually just watch Bellator on TV. It's on, I think, Paramount Channel.
I think so. So,
and Kat Zingano, when she came out in her weigh-in, dude, she was wearing a bikini with like a thong. I was like, that's how you get clicks right there. Come out in some with some booty showing. I thought it was a little weird. I've never seen a fighter come out wearing a thong, a female fighter wearing a thong and weigh-in. So,
or for that matter, a male fighter, huh?
No, I don't want to. So tonight is Lyoto Machida versus Mr. Wonderful, Phil Davis. So man, that's a classic matchup. Phil Davis versus Machida too. The first fight, Phil Davis knocked out Machida. So that's tonight. I'm gonna watch that fucking fight for sure. Who doesn't want to see Lyoto Machida and Mr. Wonderful? I don't know if he's even using Mr. Wonderful anymore. Phil Davis fight tonight. It's gonna be good, man.
That'll be a good fight. So yeah, there'll be some.
And who else?
They usually only see the main card on their on Paramount. So there's 4 fights on there, 4 or 5. That'll be a good thing to sit and watch tape, watch later, whatever. Really know.
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's see. Gabby Holloway. Kat Zingano is fighting Gabby Holloway. So Kat Zingano's 10-4. She just, not a lot of fights. She's always had I think knee injuries and stuff like that. And she's fighting a 6-5 Gabby Holloway, which I've never heard of Gabby. She looks tough. And they're fighting at 145 pounds. Kat Zingano looked good at 145 pounds. Who else is on there? Don't know those guys. Oh, man, Raymond Daniels. Raymond the Real Deal Daniels. One of the most decorated, winningest kickboxer in American history. And I'm a big fan of the Real Deal. He's fighting tonight against Peter Stanonik. But Raymond Daniels is a kickboxer. He'll struggle in the ground game. He just because he's been a stand-up fighter for so long. Most
of his fights are in.
He's got 100 kickboxing matches or more. So, but I'm a big fan, guys. If you don't know who Raymond the Real Deal Daniels is, you need to Google him, YouTube his highlight reel, because that dude is a ninja.
Because they list him only as 2-1 for his MMA career, but remember when years back Bellator used to have a kickboxing aspect as well. So he's had a lot of his kickboxing matches have been in Bellator as well.
So Bellator tonight, man, is going to be fire. It's going to be a badass card. I mean, you've got Raymond Daniels on the card. You got Phil Davis. Lyoto Machida was a UFC champion. He knocked out Sugar Rashad Evans to win the UFC title. He has fought the who's who. He has knocked out the who's who. Knocked out who did he knock out? Vitor Belfort in devastating fashion with a front snap kick.
That one was nasty. I like that one.
Phil Davis is also from the UFC. He had a pretty good career in the UFC. Now he's 21-5, and he's light heavyweight main event tonight against Lyoto Machida. That's going to be badass. Kat Zingano, man. So it's going to be a good card. Ed Ruth versus Taylor Johnson. I've heard of Ed Ruth, but not Taylor. So, man, check out that Bellator tonight. Check out that LFA tonight, and there'll be some good fights. And we'll talk about it on next Friday.
Yeah, watch all these fights so you can chime in, give us some comments on next week's show.
Word. All right, Fight Fit Lifestyle out. We'll see you next week. Try this again.
Joe, you just hit the next. Boom.